Hi, hey, hello, it's me, Rad. Did you know that I love platformers? That's right, the most video game of video games, platformers, are a passion of mine. My very first video game was Super Mario Bros. For the NES, which I played at an age that was far too young to really understand what I was doing with it. But Mario wasn't my true love when it came to the platforming genre. No. That title belongs to none other than the pink puffball himself, Kirby. The first Kirby game I ever played was Nightmare in Dreamland for the GBA. An absolutely stellar game that made me appreciate the flavor of game that Kirby brought to the table. I've been infatuated with the series ever since. But that game isn't the topic of this video. No. Kirby's Dream Land, the first Kirby game ever made, and for the original Game Boy no less. I only really played this game recently, but I wanted to give it another go while I recover from my One Piece poisoning. In truth, I wanted to take a short break from One Piece video making, so I decided my side piece series would be checking out all the Kirby games that I could. And there's quite a lot of them, honestly. So, let's jump right in, shall we? So, what would this game be about, being the first in a long and winding series? Well, on a planet far, far away, named Popstar, in a place called Dreamland, there is a rude and tyrannical leader named King Dedede. Dedede, being a bit of a glutton, decides one day to steal all the food in Dreamland, hoarding it all for himself and leaving nothing for anyone else, alongside stealing the sparkling stars, a power source for the people of Dreamland. Kirby, a mysterious little puffball of a boy, takes it upon himself to get the food back from Dedede and right these wrongs. And off to adventure he goes. So, pretty simple stuff, huh? Hopping into the game itself, we start off in Green Greens, and we see our boy Kirby for the first time in all his round, pixelated glory. At this point in history, Kirby only has a few things he can do, besides a fairly standard jump. He could suck in enemies with his mouth, and either swallow them whole, or spit them back out as stars that act like projectiles. He could also fill himself with air and float around, giving him a lot more free movement than most video game characters at the time. From the float, he can also let out the built-up air as a short-range projectile, which works on weaker enemies but not bosses. Green Greens is a perfect starting level for Kirby, and has what is possibly the most iconic Kirby theme, by the same name, which tends to be the trend in most Kirby games. A lovely nature-filled location that kinda gives a refreshing feeling as you start out this short but sweet journey. After a quick romp through the level, you run into a mid-boss, Poppy Bros Sr., a bomb-chucking little weirdo that's nice and easy to beat. He doesn't move much and gets done in 3 hits, so you'll have an easy time with him. One bit I love from this second half of the level is seeing this Poppy Bros Jr. riding on a bear. They're friends! Time to murder them! There's actually a number of little cute things throughout this game that feel very special to me. Like these 2 hatless cappies that are just dancing together over here. Lovely lads. That brings us to the boss of this level, and traditionally the first boss of almost every Kirby game at this point, Wispy Woods, a giant tree with a sort of hollowed out face. Kinda spooky. He drops apples on you that you just need to suck up and throw right back at him. He also sends out gusts of air that can be a bit of a pain to dodge given how clunky Kirby feels to move in this game. After we beat him though, we grab his sparkling star and dance on his grave. We then go over to the next level, Castle Lololo. And we run into the mic power-up, a screen-wiping blast that has Kirby peeking a microphone with a blaring screech. In Castle Lololo, we've traded off the lush fields of green greens for sweeping halls and chiseled bricks. Strange faces pop out of question mark blocks and underwater segments that effectively make Kirby useless, only being able to jump multiple times in the water for his movement. We also see the first usage of the Invincibility Candy, a rare power-up that makes Kirby into a killing machine! For the short time that it's active, anyway. Just touching enemies is enough to make them explode. We run into the mid-boss in Lololo, who will randomly go in and out of doors, bringing a block with him, and you need to suck it up and fire it back at him to damage him. Not hard by any stretch. After he's taken care of, you can find not only a maximum tomato, but also spicy curry, another power-up that gives Kirby the ability to shoot fireballs for a bit. After going through the maze-like wings of their castle, we finally meet the boss, or rather bosses, in Lololo and La La La. They both push boxes from one door to another, much like the original Lololo fight. You just have to suck them up and throw them back at them. Kirby's Dream Land, even for a game series that's known for not being too difficult, is rather easy, and you can wipe these two out pretty fast. Let's dance, boys! Float Islands is our next stop. A tropical locale filled with sea life, bombs for some reason, haunting Easter Island head guys, and coconuts that explode on contact. At one point, we end up in what appears to be a pirate ship, later blasting out of the top of it and into the blowhole of a whale, which shoots us into the sky, landing us safely on some clouds. Kirby's Dream Land is pretty true to its name, in that playing it is truly like going through a nice, comfy dream. Things get weird when you pick up something? See, to me it looks like a lemon, but the English manual calls it a mint leaf, but it also calls the maximum tomato a bag of food, so it's not exactly helpful. Well, turns out it's a sweet potato, for what it's worth. Weird. Anyways, it makes you fly and puff out hot air like bullets, which lets you fight the boss Kabula, which is just a hot air balloon with a gun on it. This boss fight is a lot like a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. It's honestly quite impressive the way this game keeps throwing new ideas at you through its short runtime. Speaking of short runtimes, Kabula is dead, and now we dance on him. For the first time in the game, there's a clear through line of levels as we go to Bubbly Clouds, a very dreamy, bouncy zone with the first example of the bane of my Kirby-loving existence, the Scarfy. Usually cute and unassuming, if you try and suck it up, they turn into what is effectively a Kirby-style Kaku demon and explode like bombs on contact. We make it inside a building and are greeted to hallways covered in moon tiles. This level in general gives me the most trouble of any place in this game. There's just a lot of ways to get hurt and or beef it. The mid-boss this time around is an unpowered up Kracko, who throws cannonballs and uses his old standby of throwing out waddle-doos. After beating him, you do what all stories should do in their climax and go to space, and chase after him for round 2. Honestly, the rest of the level after this goes into what feels very fillery territory, if you catch my drift, so let's get straight to the fight proper, which I promptly lose. But this fight isn't too far from his mid-boss form, only this time he will sometimes swoop down and try and swipe at you. Just catch him in the eye with a few dews and you'll be golden to do the dance of your people. Finally, it's time to take on DDD himself in Mount DDD. DDD's castle living on top of a mountain. In this game at least, Mount DDD is a boss rush, which takes you through abridged versions of the stages before this one. I'll be real. You'll see that I jumped up in lives, and it's because I got game over. And I'm not ashamed of it. Okay, I am a little bit. But once you've given all 4 of the bosses another what's for, you face down with King DDD in a freaking wrestling ring, effectively leaving the fate of Dreamland up to a wrestling match. Oh, Sakurai, you are a man after my own heart. DDD's goofy ass has a bigger health bar than any of the other bosses, and has more attacks in his moveset than any of them too. He's honestly really fun, and for the Game Boy, a rather hectic fight. He'll try to suck you into his mouth much like Kirby himself. He'll run and bonk you with his hammer. He'll jump up and do a butt slam on the ground from above you. He'll even trip over himself as an attack. When you finally beat him, sending him flying out of his own castle like Team Rocket, Kirby takes all 5 of the sparkling stars DDD stole and blows up into a giant balloon? Whatever works best, man. He goes on to sprinkle the food back over the land for so many to eat once again. What a brave lad. And that's it. Well, aside from the extra game which you find out about once you beat the game once over. Well, but maybe, if I'm feeling a little masochistic, I'll check that out another day. Either way, thank you for joining me while I go through the very first Kirby game. I'll hope you join me for the next one, too. Love you lots. Hope you have a good day. I hope that you have a good night. I hope that you have a good whenever you're watching this. Bye now, bye. Bye now, see ya. See ya, bye.